Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the war between Russia and Ukraine. So as we look at the continued fighting that is taking place, we look at the prospect, and I apologize, I'm going to enlarge the screen again, so if you're epileptic, turn away. Here we go. So again, as we continue to analyze and watch what is happening on the ground, we see incredibly vicious fighting taking place all along the eastern line, running from north of Bakhmut, east of Liman, and all the way down south towards Vuhledar. Furthermore, it is now glaringly apparent that the Ukrainian side has taken catastrophic casualties in this ongoing war. There are some estimates that indicate that the Ukrainian side may have taken as many as 250,000 battlefield losses. That includes KIA and wounded in action, missing, POW, deserted, gone, fled to another country. At the same time, the Russians have also taken significant casualties. Now, the Ukrainian state has done a very good job at avoiding talking about, discussing, and providing real-time estimates of losses. And the Russians have as well. But the Ukrainians have created this appearance that they are causing significantly more casualties to the Russian side than the Russian side is causing to the Ukrainians. Now, is that factual? Well, we don't know, but we highly doubt that is the case. We don't believe that at this point the Russians have suffered 2 to 3 times the amount of casualties as the Ukrainians. And again, the Russian military is the armed force that is dishing out the most rear area attacks, meaning utilizing cruise missiles, utilizing fixed-wing fighter bombers to attack locales throughout Ukraine, including western Ukraine, ballistic missile attacks against command and control and troop concentrations. Now, are the Ukrainians attacking Russian rear areas as well? Yes. But those attacks are simply not as prevalent as what we are seeing from the Russian side. Again, when the Ukrainians launch a HIMARS attack against a certain Russian installation, that tends to be very well publicized. But what the Russians are doing is occurring daily, hourly, against rear area Ukrainian targets. So right now, we see this almost static level of warfare taking place. We see that the Ukrainian side is using massive amounts of infantry in forward deployed areas to defend all these urban redoubts. Every one of these towns and villages and cities close to the line of contact, close to the front line, extending all the way back tens, in some cases hundreds of kilometers. They have fortified these areas, again, with Ukrainian infantry. We think that because of the recent counter-offensive operations by the Ukrainians, specifically operations near Kharkov and operations that took place specifically and Kherson on the western bank of the Dnieper River, the Ukrainian ability to continue maneuver warfare has been degraded because of the losses the Ukrainian military sustained in those counter-offensive operations. While they were successful, while they did take areas, while they did take the western bank of the Dnieper River and eventually forced the Russians to withdraw from Kherson, and again in the north as well, the Ukrainian military took a great number of casualties, and more importantly, they took equipment losses as well. Russian ground attack aircraft, Russian artillery, Russian anti-tank guided weapons, Russian tanks caused damage during these Ukrainian offensive operations. So that's probably what right now why the Ukrainians are in desperate need of this Western equipment, because a lot of their equipment has simply been destroyed over the course of the last year, and then specifically these two large-scale offensive operations that the Ukrainian military launched. Now, what are the Russians planning? Well, it looks like this is going to be a two-stage operation for Russian forces. Now, I could be wrong on this, but I'm going to try and explain what I believe the Russians are going to try and do. I think their goal right now is to break the Ukrainian frontline positions east of Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, Bakhmut, running all the way down west of Donetsk, and this new offensive that the Russian army is going to launch, in all probability, its goal is going to be to launch maneuver operations in the south, specifically near Volhodar, designed to roll up Ukrainian positions that face north to south along this line here. And again, the Russian push is probably going to be to roll up the Ukrainian right flank, this area here, and push up towards eventually what would be Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, while at the same time the Russians will probably launch a general offensive out of Donetsk, Horlovivka, out of Bakhmut once it's captured near Severodonetsk, and reset the front line west of Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. Stage 2 of the Russian continued war goals and war aims will then probably take place in late summer. That operation will look to attempt to roll up the Ukrainian army, again, probably operating in a south to north operation designed to cut off western Ukraine and eastern Ukraine, basically destroy all Ukrainian forces east of the Dnieper River, and then eventually with the goal of threatening the entire Ukrainian military east of the Dnieper River, requiring the Ukrainian military to withdraw west of the Dnieper River, and then by proxy seize control of Kharkov. So again, stage 1, quite possibly in the next few weeks, end of February, starting of March, again designed to push north out of Volhodar here and roll up the Ukrainian military in these fixed positions in this area here. Reset the front line west of Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, followed by that secondary operation, the larger operation, where we could see additional Russian efforts in the north near Sumy, near Chernihiv, and again, that operation will be designed to take all territory east of the Dnieper River. But we'll see how this upcoming operation by the Russian pans out. Obviously, if the Russian efforts are a failure in rolling up, seizing control of Bakhmut, threatening and/or seizing control of Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, then obviously the next operation, the more expanded operation designed to take all territory east of the Dnieper, that's going to change. And then again, Russian war goals, war aims will also change again. But right now, from what we're hearing, things are not going well for the Ukrainian military. It's not talked about, it's not publicized, but that is the case on the ground. We know that the recruitment efforts, conscription efforts by the Ukrainian military are starting to wane. A lot of new recruits that join the Ukrainian military believing that they may have a certain job or role, such as possibly joining the Air Defense Forces or joining the Ukrainian Air Force or joining the National Guard or have an idea that they are going to do something other than be a frontline infantryman, is very, very quickly dispelled as they are then put in these frontline infantry formations. And that information is getting back to further conscripts and volunteers that, hey, look, you are going to be given an assault rifle, you're going to be given a rifle, and you're going to be deployed to a frontline city in a defensive position, and you are going to get pounded on by Russian artillery for your entire military career until you are killed. That is what the Ukrainians are hearing right now, and it has to be demoralizing. It is demoralizing. And that's why we're also seeing a lot of, including other content providers on YouTube that happen to be Ukrainian, they are no longer in Ukraine. They are out of that country because they do not want to get conscripted and be sitting in Bakhmut getting hammered by 152 millimeter artillery rounds and multiple launch rocket systems. Just the way it is. So we'll continue to cover, we'll continue to report. Thank you for joining us today. More to come. Have a good day.